Big news, your soulmate is bursting into tears because they finally realize that you are not who you appeared to be in reality. You are. My beloved child, don't skip this moment, because something extraordinary has just unfolded. Someone you never expected has reached a truth they could no longer deny. Your soulmate is overwhelmed with emotion, not because of what they lost, but because of what they have finally discovered about you. For so long, they believed they understood who you were. They thought your quietness meant distance. They thought your patience meant weakness. They thought your kindness was simply part of your personality. But last night, everything changed. A single realization shattered every assumption they had ever made. They finally understood that your calm spirit was never weakness, it was strength. Your silence was never indifference, it was wisdom. Your gentle heart was never ordinary, it was rare. And when that truth reached them, they could no longer hold back their emotions. Stay till the end, because the biggest revelation has not been spoken yet. They began replaying every conversation they had with you. Every word you spoke. Every moment you chose understanding instead of anger. Every time you walked away from conflict instead of creating more pain. Only now do they realize what they were truly looking at. They were looking at someone whose heart carried more compassion than pride. Someone who loved without demanding perfection. Someone who stayed genuine even when life gave every reason to become bitter. That realization broke something inside them. Not because you changed, but because they finally saw the real you. And suddenly they asked themselves a painful question. What if I completely misunderstood the most important person in my life? That question echoed through their heart. Every memory returned with a different meaning. Moments they once ignored now felt priceless. Words they barely noticed now carried incredible weight. For the first time, they understood that your greatest quality was never something the world could easily see. It was the quiet way you cared. The steady way you remained true to yourself. The way you chose honesty when pretending would have been easier. Don't leave now. Because they are beginning to understand something even deeper. They no longer admire you because of what you do. They admire you because of who you are. And that realization has filled their heart with both gratitude and regret. Gratitude that someone like you exists. Regret that it took them so long to truly recognize your worth. Right now, they are wishing they had looked beyond appearances from the very beginning. Because they finally understand. You were never pretending to be someone special. You simply were. And now their heart is asking for one chance. One honest conversation. One opportunity to show you that they finally see the truth they once overlooked. The biggest news is not that they are emotional. The biggest news is that they have awakened to your true value. And once someone truly sees the beauty of an honest heart, it becomes impossible to forget. My beloved child, stay with me, because the tears were only the beginning. What happened next is the part they never expected, and it completely changed the way they see you. After that realization, they sat in complete silence. No distractions. No excuses. No one else to blame. For the first time, they looked back at every memory with new eyes. The moments they once considered ordinary suddenly became unforgettable. They remembered how you chose kindness when you could have chosen revenge. They remembered how you encouraged others without asking for anything in return. They remembered how you stayed true to your values, even when no one was watching. And then it finally struck them. You were never trying to impress anyone. You were simply living with a genuine heart. Don't skip, because this next realization shook them to their core. They whispered to themselves, "I thought they were just another person passing through my life, but they were one of the greatest blessings I almost overlooked." Those words brought another wave of emotion. Not because they were weak, but because they realized how easy it is to misunderstand someone who carries quiet strength. They had mistaken your patience for hesitation, your humility for insecurity, your calmness for a lack of passion. Now they see the truth. Your greatest strength was never the loud things you said. It was the peace you carried, even during difficult moments. And that peace left a mark on their heart long after every conversation ended. Stay till the end, because something even bigger is waiting. As they reflected on everything, one question kept returning again and again. What if I had recognized their true worth sooner? They imagined how different things could have been. How many misunderstandings could have been avoided? How many words they wished they had spoken? How many opportunities slipped away because they were looking at appearances instead of character? That thought became almost unbearable. Yet in the middle of that regret, hope quietly appeared. They realized the story was not necessarily over. There was still time to become honest. Still time to acknowledge what they had learned. Still time to approach you with sincerity instead of assumptions. And for the first time in a long while, they stopped wishing you would change. Instead, they became grateful that you never did. Because your authenticity became the very reason they could finally recognize what real love looks like. My beloved child, remember this for yourself as well. Never feel pressured to change your true character just because someone failed to recognize it at first. The people who truly belong in your life will eventually see the depth behind your quiet strength. They will recognize the loyalty hidden behind your patience. They will value the honesty that has always been part of who you are. Your soulmate is beginning to understand this lesson now. They are no longer searching for someone who appears perfect. They are realizing they already encountered someone who was genuinely rare. And that realization has changed everything inside them. The tears have slowed. The regret remains. But now it is joined by something stronger than regret. A quiet determination to make sure they never overlook your worth again. Because they finally understand that what makes you unforgettable was never what others first noticed. It was the heart you carried all along. And this time, they are determined to see it clearly, and never let it go. My beloved child, don't scroll away now, because what happened after those tears was something your soulmate never imagined would happen. The truth they had been avoiding finally stood in front of them, and there was no place left to hide. For hours, they sat alone, replaying every moment they had shared with you. Every smile, every conversation, every goodbye suddenly carried a meaning they had completely missed before. Then a single thought entered their mind. What if the greatest person I was searching for was right in front of me all along? That question refused to leave. The more they thought about it, the more clearly they saw the pieces falling into place. They remembered the times you supported them without asking for recognition. They remembered the way you respected their boundaries instead of trying to control them. They remembered how you celebrated their victories as if they were your own. Back then, they took those moments for granted. Today, they see them as priceless. Stay till the end, because the biggest realization is still ahead. For so long, they believed love had to be dramatic to be real. They expected constant excitement, perfect timing, and unforgettable grand gestures. But now they understand something different. The strongest love is often quiet. It is found in loyalty instead of attention. In honesty instead of appearances. In consistency instead of empty promises. And when they compared those truths with every memory of you, one answer became impossible to ignore. You had been showing genuine care all along. Not with loud words, but with steady actions. That realization brought another wave of emotion. Not because they wanted sympathy, but because they finally understood how much they had overlooked. They whispered softly, "I was looking for perfection, while real love was standing beside me." Those words changed everything. Something huge is waiting for you, so don't skip this part. Instead of asking, "Do they still care about me?" they began asking, "Am I brave enough to show them that I finally understand?" That is a completely different question. Because now they know that recognition alone is not enough. If they truly value you, they must prove it through patience, respect, and consistent effort. They cannot expect trust overnight. They cannot erase the past with one emotional conversation. They understand that every step forward must be earned. And strangely, that realization gives them hope instead of fear. Because for the first time, they are willing to do the work instead of waiting for everything to happen on its own. My beloved child, remember this truth. Your worth has never depended on when someone notices it. You were valuable before they understood you. You were enough before they appreciated you. And you remain enough today. If someone truly recognizes your value, let their actions reveal that recognition over time. The right connection grows through honesty, respect, and mutual effort, not through assumptions or fantasies. As the night came to an end, your soulmate looked out the window and took one long, quiet breath. There were no dramatic speeches. No perfect ending. Only one simple decision. If I get another chance, I won't overlook the person they truly are. I will choose honesty over fear, gratitude over pride, and action over silence. That decision did not erase every mistake. But it marked the beginning of real change. Because they no longer see you as the person they imagined. They finally see you for who you truly are. And sometimes, that single realization is powerful enough to change the direction of an entire story. My beloved child, don't leave now, because the story has reached the moment your soulmate never believed would come. After everything they realized, they could no longer pretend that life would simply move on without consequences. That night, they opened an old conversation with you. They didn't type anything at first. They simply stared at your name. It had been so long since they truly allowed themselves to feel everything they had buried inside. One memory after another appeared before them. The laughter they once took for granted. The encouragement you gave without expecting anything in return. The moments you understood them without needing long explanations. And suddenly they whispered, "No one has ever made me feel this safe." The word surprised even them. Because they finally understood that what they had been searching for everywhere else, had already been part of their journey with you. Stay with me, because something even deeper is about to unfold. For years, they believed happiness would come from finding someone extraordinary. Now they realized they had already found someone genuine. Someone who never tried to be perfect. Someone who simply chose kindness, honesty, and patience every single day. That realization filled their heart with both gratitude and sorrow. Gratitude because they finally recognized your true value. Sorrow because they wondered how many chances they had wasted by failing to see it sooner. Then another thought entered their mind. What if they're no longer waiting for me? That question frightened them more than anything else. For the first time, they imagined a future where you had completely moved on. A future where someone else appreciated your loyalty, respected your heart, and gave you the consistency you always deserved. The thought was painful. Not because they wanted to possess you, but because they realized how deeply they wished they had appreciated you while they had the chance. Don't skip, because the next realization changed everything. Instead of feeling sorry for themselves, they made a quiet decision. They would stop expecting life to give them endless opportunities. If they truly valued you, they would have to show it. Not with dramatic promises. Not with emotional speeches. But with honest actions that matched their words. They understood that trust is rebuilt one step at a time. One truthful conversation. One kept promise. One act of kindness after another. That is the path they want to walk now. My beloved child, never forget this truth. Real love is not measured by how loudly someone says they care. It is measured by how faithfully they continue to show up when life becomes difficult. The people who truly value you will not only admire your heart. They will protect it. They will respect it. They will never make you wonder where you stand. And that is exactly what your soulmate is beginning to understand. As the sun slowly prepared to rise, they looked at your name one last time and quietly smiled. Not because everything had been fixed. Not because every fear had disappeared. But because hope had returned. For the first time in a long while, they believed that honesty could create a future where silence had only created distance. They closed their eyes and whispered one final promise to themselves. If life gives me another opportunity to stand before them, I won't waste it hiding behind fear. This time, I'll let my actions speak louder than the silence that once kept us apart. And with that promise, a new chapter quietly began. Not a chapter built on assumptions. Not a chapter built on fantasy. But one built on truth, courage, and the hope that genuine love is always worth fighting for. My beloved child, don't skip this moment, because what happened the following morning was unlike anything your soulmate had experienced before. They woke up with the same thought that had followed them throughout the entire night. It was you. Not as a passing memory. Not as a distant dream. but as someone whose value had finally become impossible to ignore. For the first time, they stopped asking themselves whether fate would bring you back together. Instead, they asked a different question. If I have another chance, will I finally have the courage to love them the way they deserve? That question stayed with them everywhere they went. No matter how busy the day became, your name continued to echo in their heart. They smiled at old memories. They remembered conversations they had almost forgotten. Even the smallest moments suddenly felt meaningful. They realized it was never the grand events that made you unforgettable. It was the little things. The way you listened with genuine attention. The way you encouraged people without expecting praise. The way you remained calm when others lost hope. Those quiet moments had become treasures in their heart. Stay till the end, because the biggest decision is still ahead. As they reflected on everything, one truth became impossible to deny. They had spent too much time waiting for the perfect moment. But perfect moments rarely arrive on their own. They are created by honest choices. And honesty was exactly what they had been avoiding. No more waiting. No more pretending that time would solve everything. No more hoping you would somehow understand the words they never spoke. They finally realized that real love is not silent forever. It finds the courage to speak. Something huge is waiting for you. They imagined standing before you one more time. Not with dramatic promises. Not asking you to forget the past. Simply saying, I finally see you for who you truly are. I appreciate what I once overlooked, and if you're willing, I'd like to rebuild trust one honest step at a time. Those words brought peace to their heart. Because they were no longer trying to impress you. They simply wanted to be truthful. My beloved child, remember this as your own reminder. Never settle for words without actions. The right person will not only recognize your worth. They will protect it. They will respect your time. They will value your trust. And they will never make you question whether you matter. That is the kind of love your heart deserves. As evening arrived, your soulmate looked toward the sky and quietly whispered, if this connection is still meant to grow, I will no longer let fear decide my future. I will choose honesty, patience, and courage instead. It was a quiet promise. No audience. No applause. Just one heart finally accepting the truth it had hidden for far too long. And perhaps, at this very moment, they are preparing for the conversation they should have started long ago. Not because everything has suddenly become easy, but because they finally understand that some people are too precious to lose through silence. The next chapter will reveal the choice they are finally ready to make, and why this decision could change everything they once believed about love. My beloved child, don't leave now, because the story has reached the moment where your soulmate can no longer keep running from the truth. Something inside them has shifted forever, and they know there is no going back. That evening, they found themselves sitting alone once again. No music. No distractions. Only their thoughts, and your name. For so long, they believed that time would erase what they felt. But instead of fading, their feelings had quietly grown stronger. Every attempt to forget you only reminded them of why you were so difficult to replace. And then a quiet realization settled deep within their heart. I wasn't searching for someone better. I was searching for the feeling I only had with them. Those words stayed with them. Because for the first time, they understood that it was never about finding another person. It was about realizing that the connection they valued most had been with you all along. Stay till the end, because something beautiful is waiting. As they reflected on the past, they stopped focusing on everything that went wrong. Instead, they began noticing everything that had gone right. The trust you offered. The patience you showed. The respect you gave even during difficult moments. The encouragement you shared when they needed it most. They suddenly realized that your love had never been loud. It had been steady. It had been genuine. And perhaps that was why they failed to recognize its true value at first. Now they see it clearly. And the more clearly they see it, the more grateful they become that someone like you crossed their path. Don't skip, because this next decision changes everything. They no longer want to hide behind uncertainty. They no longer want fear to make choices for them. They have decided that if another opportunity comes, they will not waste it protecting their pride. They will choose honesty. They will choose humility. They will choose the courage to speak what has lived inside their heart for so long. Not because they expect an immediate answer, but because they know the truth deserves to be spoken. As they imagined meeting you again, they smiled for the first time in a long while. Not because every problem had disappeared, but because hope had returned. Hope that honest conversations can heal.